Sunday, October 22, 2023. 29th Sunday in Ordinary Time. Biblical references from the book of the prophet Isaiah. I have made you mighty, I am the Lord, there is none else. Psalm 95. Give glory and strength to the Lord. Letter of St. Paul to the Thessalonians. To the church in Thessalonica, which is in God Father and in Jesus Christ the Lord. Gospel according to St. Matthew. Chapter 22. Render to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's. Dear brothers and sisters, this is the homily of today. The Pharisees showed Jesus a silver coin and asked who had the power in the world. Jesus rejects the simplicity of the question and places the problem at the fundamental level, which is the place of God in the Christian's life whenever we are faced with a vital question that requires from each of us a response that encompasses our lives. Teaching God's way. These Pharisees who wanted to trap him are actually locked in by their own question and the way they asked it. You who are always true, you who teach the way of God. They placed themselves on the same ground on which Jesus moves freely, that is, on the ground of relationship with the Father. Is this allowed? They were waiting for an answer to the permission prohibited, dilemma in which we very often lock ourselves in. Now we live in faith, and we must discover and deepen the thought about God revealed by Christ, and then translate it into our personal behavior, in accordance with this faith, and not according to a rigid and predetermined answer. Because they ask for a way to God, Jesus leads the Pharisees in that direction, and that this is his entire pedagogy. Isaiah similarly emphasized the importance of every human situation. I am the Lord, there is no other. Caesar's tax. A coin, like a banknote, is a program through what is presented on it, an announcement of policy and illustration of the past in which we want to root the present. Even if it is less and less noticeable through our credit cards, for example, money reports reflect our situation. I am consulting with your bank, an anonymous distributor tells us. Through the social bonds they establish, they also reflect the types of relationship between men. Money allows you to buy an atom, live in a house and receive the fruits of your labor. This serves both to finalize what is necessary and to monopolize space and dominate. Money smells of domination or service. It smells of sweat and sometimes even blood. It is always more than its materiality, and the gospel understood this well. You cannot serve God and money. The gospel this Sunday is not about money taken in isolation from reality, but about its importance. Paying tax or not remained on the surface of things. We must go beyond the image. Read beyond the inscription, discover what reality they express, what the hierarchy of values is. Beyond the image, as with all human things and situations, a deeper truth awaits us, transcending all earthly signs. The Pharisees knew this well, and that is why they asked Jesus this question. When asking for a silver coin, Jesus reminds them that it is commonly used except for offerings in the temple. This piece is engraved with the image of the emperor. A true Jew refuses to depict in images not only God, who is transcendence, but also man, and especially the emperor, who considers himself a god. The only image of God, according to the word of God from the book of Genesis, is a living man. Let us make a man in our image and in our likeness. This item must be returned to the owner. Submit to Caesar. This does not mean the political domain is autonomous from the religious domain. Politics is one of the specific places where charity activities are carried out. The moral law must there manifest itself as right because it is one of the means by which the Christian, by loving his brothers, demonstrates his love for God. There is a connection between these two areas because without human mediation, it is impossible to serve God. This dependence does not mean confusion, and any sacralization of political power is idolatry. What interests Jesus is only God. We must return to God, what belongs to him, that is man. That is why Jesus does not avoid a delicate issue. It opens a new perspective in a narrow vision of politics. It offers us the only possible freedom of choice in the soul and conscience, which leads towards a greater humanization of social relations. Caesar has no exclusive right to the human and material realm, and God has no exclusive right to the spiritual realm. Man is the image and likeness of God. The old religious fount of the Pharisees expressed it well when he said, "You teach the true way of God." His answer does not separate the two realms of Caesar and God, but unites them by giving priority to God. Giving to Caesar what is Caesar's means ultimately accepting the incarnation. It means accepting human reality. It means accepting a path that allows us, by behaving justly towards Caesar, to be able to give to God what belongs to God. That is, the whole man. God examines and purifies our intentions and, consequently, the way we use our goods. He wants us to be free from the sacred character that we too often give to material goods. He guides us and gives us a scale of the value of our choices. It confronts us with this scale of values. Testimony. Beloved, in my life I often turn to poetry, and bearing that Tsar with the golden throne is a pity, poet said. But I still have the illusion that poetry is an attempt to impose a bit of order and creates an opportunity to communicate with people through written emotion. I would finally like to know where the illusion ends and the real relationship begins. Whether, as a result of historical experiences, we have not become mentally distorted and now we react to accidents with hysterical regularity, or whether we are still a barbarian tribe among artificial lakes and electric forests. Man himself is blind, He must have mirrors or other eyes around him. He loves, that is, he looks at himself. When the source of stars dries up, we will shine at night. When the wind petrifies, we will stir the air. And if the city falls, and only one survives, he will carry the city in himself. Along the paths of exile, he will be the city. What will be left of us will be like lovers crying in a small dirty hotel when the wallpapers are dawning. We live in the third millennium of the Christian era, and we have to create culture. I build values that make life worth living for myself. I say here that when I find a path to the world, I try to follow that path. Fashion's pass. Only the great dead live, and they will judge us in the end. My inner voice advises nothing, discourages nothing, says neither yes nor no, is barely audible and almost inarticulate. During the globalization of the world, I would like to defend people and their nation, which losing this man losing memory, he is losing conscience. Naming things and human affairs leads to the understanding and judgment, especially after the chaos of concepts, after the last war, after the flood of lies. The effort of rebuilding the world morally by rebuilding the value of words would have to be undertaken. We must once again separate evil from good, light from darkness. The word must return to its home port, to meaning. Brother, do not dialogue with temptation, because you will lose. Not every flip is a fall. There is nothing more common than the dreams of emperors. I don't understand how you can write poems about the moon. It's greasy and messy. I pick my nose at chimney. His favorite activity is to crawl under beds and smell shoes. And the Mars planet is covered for Roman helmets. Let good eyes give me away the devouring landscapes. Let words that were supposed to protect my body bring me abysses. You will not pass on knowledge to anyone, because the knowledge of the cross endures. Only your hearing and your touch are yours. Everyone must create their own infinity and beginning anew. A mitigating circumstance is that the art of history comes from the ancient times. When God built the world, he frowned, calculated. Therefore the world is perfect, and you cannot live in it. I also address these words to my God at high moon on the day of life that has been given to me. Lord, I give you thanks for this entire sphere of life in which I have been drawing since time immemorial, with no escape, deadly focused on the constant search for trifles. Lord, I will no longer have time to make amends to those wronged or apologize to all those to whom I have done evil. Therefore my soul is sad. The writer is, or at least should be, on the side of the humiliated and wronged. No lay or clerical authorities can release him from this. You always swim against the current to the sources. Garbage flows with the current. Sometimes, however, I take in the garbage. The poet fights with his own shadow. The poet screams like a bird in the void. A bird flies, a cloud passes, a leaf falls, mellows sprout, and there is silence in the heights, and the cotton forest smokes with fog. The heart of stones sometimes trembles like the heart of small animals. In our troubled era, Securitas can count on crowds of followers. We value safety, this game in which the main prize is only a stake, a measly token, entitling us to continue playing as long as our hand serves. Security, what is security? The fearful formula of happiness, life without struggle. We have come to live in an era of eternal peace, but is such peace enough? But the Few who listened to us deserved beauty, but also truth. It didn't require much character at all. We had a bit of the necessary courage, but ultimately it was a matter of taste, such a taste that makes you go out and grimace, draw out a sneer, even if it means losing a priceless part of your body, the capital, the head. There is a flame in me that thinks, and a wind for fire and sails. Big names make the greatest idiocies plausible because the crowd has a naive certainty that great people cannot lie. Freedom obtained without a drop of blood is no freedom at all. From the fact that we use the same curses and similar love spells, we draw two bold conclusions. So reading together at school should not be a sufficient premise to kill. The argument that Colonel Kuklinski, Richard, was a traitor according to the laws in force in the Polish People's Republic is formally correct, but completely absurd, because we would have to remove the names of Pułaski, Traugud and Piłsudski from school textbooks. What else did Mr. Cogito say through the mouth of Zbigniew Herbert, a poet from Poland? Be brave when reason falls. Be brave at last. So the prayers of the liturgy of the 29th Sunday tell us to pray for three things in this sense. 1. Let us not close ourselves off in humanity. Grant us, Lord, that we may serve you at this altar in complete freedom. In this way, your grace will be able to purify us in the mystery that we celebrate. Prayer over sacrifices. 2. Let us follow God's path. Assure us of your benefits here on earth and teach us about the riches of your kingdom. Prayer after communion. 3. Let us realize the unity of our lives. In this life in which we hope for the happiness that you promise and for the coming of Jesus Christ, our Savior. Prayer after the Our Father who are in heaven.